Okay, guys, how you doing? We're live, right?
Yes, we are.
And yep, there we go. So I am just coming to you live from the back of a minivan. This is how all professional podcasts are done these days. Can do it like this, perhaps. I'll get rid of these glasses. All right, so yeah, so I'm just in the back of the minivan here, and just to give you an idea, I'm just sitting here, and then over here, they're driving the minivan. That would be Eric up there
Uh,
driving. And
I
I'll put it back over here so
What was
to
that,
make it
Russ?
somewhat stable.
was a good driver.
Yeah. Well, it's like I've been doing enough driving of my own this weekend because the Toronto Marlies decided to not be eliminated in four straight and won on Friday, and then I had to drive.
Yeah.
I drive up on Sunday to see them eliminated. It was funny, Russ, that I was perturbed when I found out the Memorial Cup had been scheduled at 4:30, so I couldn't watch it live. And it was one of the best Memorial Cup games in recent memory. It went a 3-2 overtime, game winner by Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah.
London wins the Memorial Cup, and I'm dying for updates, and I can't. First of all, I can't find it on Toronto radio anywhere, which was bizarre because it's the Memorial Cup final. So I'm driving down the QEW going about 125 with my cruise control, and
Nice.
with one, keeping my eyes on the road, one hand on the wheel, the other hand on my phone, which is serving as my GPS, flipping Twitter, looking for updates. Go, look, drive. I'm probably going to get busted by the OPP here, but that was what I had to roll.
Very
That's
nice.
how I found out about Matthew Tkachuk's goal. Go ahead, Russ.
Yeah, look, I was doing the same thing. It's not in my
Oh, man.
hotel, and the restaurant I was at didn't have it, so I was doing the same thing. I saw the Kachuk goal. It was a good goal, but I did tell people I thought we were going to win. I really
Hold on, go ahead, Russ.
I was going to say, I really like that team, and so they gave it all they had. It was a good final for sure, and good for Kachuk. I mean, again, such a talented kid.
Go ahead. Okay, Ack is driving. So, okay.
Yeah. You can hear me.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out.
This is working.
But keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
We'll give it a shot. We'll do the best we can, guys. And if I cut in and out, you guys can just talk over me, and I'll know that you can't hear me, or raise your hand, or we need like a red flag. Ah! All right. So so I'm on my way to Pittsburgh. I'm about an hour and a half away from Pittsburgh right now, and it's been a fun weekend. I've driven about 15 hours this weekend between soccer tournaments and going to the beach with my family, and yeah, I spent a lot of time at Exit 7 on the New Jersey Turnpike, right around Bordentown. That was fun. Spent, like they always say, like a week there this weekend. But yeah, so I'm doing well. And I'm really excited about the game, and I want to get right into it. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to come to the contractual terms with Russ the Chicken, so he's out for his prediction before this game. He said he might come back in and make a prediction before Game 3, which I said is ridiculous. But he said that's all you get what you pay for with him. So we'll get some commentary from Russ the Chicken at some point. So I apologize. He didn't want to make the trip. We just couldn't. We tried. We negotiated into the wee hours of the morning. So
Those damn chickens. Anyway,
Definitely.
let's start the show, Ack. You want to lead it off?
yeah, let's start the show. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Hello, Hockey World. It's Monday, May 30th, 2016.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I am Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes to you every Monday through Friday, even from the backs of moving vans. And to give you your hockey news and to fill you in. And today, of course, is a very special Monday. Russ is in Pittsburgh. I'm on my way to Pittsburgh. And we are going to be covering the game, which is just a measly 8 hours away from now, when this is all going to get started. And Russ, well, you were there for Media Day. What do you think's going on? What's your impression so far?
All right, so I was there for Media Day. My impression was that it's amazing that you have two really young goalies, and they're both in the Stanley Cup Finals, and neither seems to be fazed by it. I felt like Pittsburgh seems to be really calmed down with Murray in there. That's not to say they're not calm with Fleury, but it's just a different kind of calm, and so that really hit me. That really struck me. I spoke to Malkin. The difference of Mike Sullivan for Malkin has been huge, and so he's really enjoyed the switch, and I think that was something where that made a big difference. Just the whole Pittsburgh persona. I spoke to Bo Bennett, and he kind of told me when the team was sort of like fragile and almost like in an agonizing state when they would lose, and now they can come back and come back from 3-goal deficits where they weren't able to earlier in the season. So there's that. I had some fun conversations. Justin Schultz, when he got traded to Pittsburgh, that was his lifelong dream. Like, he always wanted to play for them. That was his team growing up, and he found out on Twitter. But he knew a couple days ahead of time because he said he started to get sat, and once he started to sit games, then he knew. So I thought that was kind of revealing. On the Sharks side, I wrote something about Tommy Wingels and a 19-year-old draft. He's a big proponent of it, but I'm a fan of Tommy Wingels because that's a guy who worked through college, played in the Frozen Four and lost. Now he's in the Stanley Cup. He's probably hoping he can win on the Stanley Cup. And that's a big deal for him. I also, Pavelski just captivated the room. He was great. Thornton owned the room. Like, Joe Thornton was the biggest star there, and he owned the room. Yeah. Brett Burns was still a pretty star too. But what they basically conveyed is they would love for the Stanley Cup to have been played yesterday. They didn't mind media day. They liked the media, but the idea was they were just sort of getting antsy, San Jose, and so I think that's a big factor too.
Well, going back to the goaltending, Russ, and the thing that is interesting is, Murray had a great year in the AHL the previous year, started in the AHL, and it's unusual that a goaltender. I mean, he's a very good goaltender. He's a highly regarded prospect. He came up, and essentially after a month or so of playing time, he's the guy because of circumstance leading that team in goal for the Stanley Cup playoffs. You compare that to a guy like Martin Jones, who's a little older. I think he's 27 years old, and he won a Stanley Cup in L.A., but his experience mostly was watching from the bench while Jonathan Quick won. So you have, even though one is an older goaltender, one is a more experienced goaltender, and one has been starting in the NHL for the entire year, in terms of experience, they're basically on the same level.
Yeah, they're on the same level, and it's kind of an interesting factor. I think both of them are fully entrenched. I don't expect either of them to get taken out. I mean, unless something really bizarre happens, or an injury happens, or 5-0 game happens, something like that. But I spoke to Marc-Andre Fleury too, and it's amazing that he's 31 now. And I just wrote about this. The age creeps up on you. Even he said it's going too fast. I didn't ask him about whether he's going to get in there or not. Guys were trying to ask him that. I felt like it's not even a good question to ask.
Why would you? I agree with you completely. I mean, you can't ask him that. He doesn't. He's gonna. I'm sure he was saying all the right things, and he just wants to do what's best for the team right now. I do feel old when you say that 31 is like the time's going by quickly. So I will say that much.
Well, think of it this way, Russ. If Fleury is in the series, either Murray got hurt or his team is down 2-0. So, or his team is losing in a game. So it's sort of a difficult position to be, somebody who's been with that team for 13 years, since he was drafted at 18 years old. So yeah, I mean, he's in an awkward position.
Can I make my bold prediction here? I have a bold prediction for this. Okay, so I've been working on this. I've been working for this for a while. I've been thinking about this for a while. I've thought about it. I know Mike's going to enjoy this one, so I had to throw it out there. I believe that the Stanley Cup will be won by the San Jose Sharks with James Reimer in goal.
Jesus.
Oh, I don't know why. It's just when I picture it in my head, that's what I see. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be injuries, if it's going to be something else, but somehow or another, I don't think James Reimer would kill them by any stretch of the imagination. I think he would be a good goalie in there too. So
No, I mean that was the whole reason that Doug Wilson went out and got James Reimer, because this is Martin Jones' first year of starting, being the man. He played a ton of games. I think he played over 60. And
Yep.
James Reimer does one playoff series worth of experience, but he's around the same age, and he has handled a workload previously, not a 60-game workload, but he is a very good backup. I don't think, unless there is an injury, that James Reimer is going to even see a minute in this series.
Here's the thing, though. So John had some interesting comments. He, when players say that they start the season training to be in the Stanley Cup, they mean it. I know sometimes in the media, people take that as a cliche and they say, oh, well, he's just saying that and they're just saying that. But no, when Jones really started to train over the summer, he was, my New York accent came out there, wow. He was training to really make it to the Stanley Cup. And he knew that this season could possibly be the most games he's ever played in his life, and he tried to prepare for that. And so while we in the media are always trying to say, well, never played this, how's he going to react? How's he going to do? The answer is he was ready for it and is ready for it. And I thought that at such a young age, that's an amazing thing, because, I got to feel like 20 years ago, players weren't that prepared for that. But now you really can get in that shape.
And Reimer's acquisition may have been more the lack of confidence in Alex Stalock than it was any concern about Martin Jones. I mean, Martin Jones.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Martin Jones, though, I think did show towards the end of the last series some hiccups. The question is, the pressure gets higher. The pressure gets even higher from then. So if those hiccups were a result of exhaustion or just some bad luck, or if they were a result of maybe he was feeling the pressure. If you're feeling the pressure, that's the question. I mean, can Reimer handle that pressure as well? We don't know, but we could see something.
Well, in going to sort of the matchup here, Pittsburgh goes into the series with a couple injury concerns. One is Bonino. From the reports, he did skate at the morning skate, and he probably will play. But he did he was injured. I think it was a shot off of his foot in Game 7 against Tampa, and it could be. I mean, you know how it is with 7 games to go in the season. Even if it's a broken foot, he's probably icing it down or whatever, and slipping his foot into the skate and doing anything he has to play. But we'll see how effective he'll be. And Letang missed the morning skate, but apparently made comments he was interviewed by some of the media and said he was going to play. But if he's limited in terms of his abilities, that's Trevor Daley out for the season and Letang at a reduced capacity. That's potentially disastrous for the Penguins.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I agree. I mean, and that to me, where this series will be won or lost to me is can the Penguins defense manage the Sharks? That's where I think that's where this is going to come down to, because especially the power play. I mean, to me the Sharks are a very similar team to Tampa, but a better version of that. And they will be successful against the Penguins. I think that kind of team will be. And the power play, we've seen it before. Like if Letang, you can't take a bad penalty against the Sharks team, and the Penguins have gotten away in the last couple series with bad penalties against teams, and maybe in all 3 series you could argue. And this is to me that's where the series is going to be won. And whether or not the Sharks, I think when both teams have shown they have a higher level for sure, but to me, when you look at those teams, I really feel like the Sharks have a higher level than the Penguins have at their highest level.
Well, Russ,
and that's my question. Go ahead.
Russ, wasn't there a narrative going through the media yesterday with the media day about the comparison of Pittsburgh's speed to San Jose's speed? And
yes, I brought that up with Logan Couture, and I asked him if he was sort of insulted by that, because it's not like San Jose is a slow team; they're really fast too. And he said he wasn't insulted, but he also said that he is anxious to prove it. And I think that is going to be something that will be proven here, is that while we all say that Pittsburgh is a really fast team, well, guess what? San Jose is too. So I don't think there's a real edge with Pittsburgh as far as speed. What I think the edge is, and this is even if Letang is limited a little bit, is what Sullivan has been able to do is not only get his guys to be faster, but also get to the puck first and also hold on to the puck. And so that's for everybody on the team, not just their defense. So if they're lacking a little bit defensively, if they're still able to get the puck out quickly, they are going to do their best to possess the puck for as long as they can. And I think that is a strategy that could work for them and against the Sharks, regardless of who's in there.
Right, and what they're probably going to do is if Letang is limited in any way, you're going to see the forwards drop down even further into the defensive zone and help out the defensemen. You know, they won't be cheating at the blue line waiting for the breakout pass. They'll be at the half boards in the defensive zone or you know, at the face-off circle waiting to take the pass so they can break out.
And that's where someone like Matt Cullen can really help because he's a really good two-way guy. He's got great speed, and if he has to, he'll be a guy that sits back. And they do have a couple of really good defensive forwards. Rust is another one. And so, you know, you look at that and you say, you know what, that may be what they have to do to make up the difference.
I think it's a good point. I really do. I mean, and you know, when you look at the secondary scoring for both these teams, they've been so big. I mean, but I think that honestly, the Sharks have rolled four lines better than anyone in the playoffs. You know, they you know, and the Penguins have had to depend more on three lines, I think, than the Sharks have, and that'll take its toll. And what's happening right now is the Sharks, just from watching. I mean, I wasn't at media day yesterday. We had a big family thing that we had to do, but just from seeing the media day, I was amazed at how relaxed like Joe Thornton looks. Just completely, you know, having experienced him in the playoffs, just looks like he's having the best time. And so does Burns. You know, and in general, these guys, they were quick to always say, well, the work's not done yet, but they were also quick to say how cool this was. You know, that I like when guys take the time to realize that. You know, you can see that for sure.
Yeah, they were enjoying the moment. That they're relaxed. There's no question about it. But the other thing, I just have this sense that the Kuhnhackl line doesn't get enough respect. There's a lot of chemistry with him and Cullen. And, you know, and I talked to Kuhnhackl about it because Kuhnhackl has got good size and good speed, and Cullen is an older guy that seems to be able to keep up really well, but there's a big age difference, and they really do get along really well, although it's funny that every once in a while Cullen will bring up like a song Kuhnhackl's never heard of or a movie he's never heard of, but he said as far as the chemistry, and if you noticed, other teams have trouble with that line. That line's worked really well, and you like to point out Brian Rust, and so he's another guy that seems to come out of the woodwork and just has this ability to never give up on a play. Whether he's got to shoot 2 or 3 times, whether he's got to whack at something 4 or 5 times in the corner, and he attributed that to his coach in midget for the Honey Baked Ham team. So I thought
Honey Baked Ham.
He gave his coach some props.
Yeah, the Honey Baked Hams, they were a monstrous team back then. That's awesome. No, I think that's great. It's really cool to see. I mean, it's cool to hear that. I was going through as I like to do, the matchups for this, you know, and it gets harder, of course, because now we're talking about teams from opposite conferences don't play each other all that often, and it doesn't matter that much. But just you know, for the hell of it, the last 3 seasons, these teams have played 6 times, and they've each won 3 games, and
that's the
scoring. Yeah. Right. The scoring has been a little high, though. I mean, these teams have scored goals on each other. You know, the Penguins won 5-1, the Sharks won 5-3. There were 2 shootout games that were lower scoring, 2-1 and 3-2. One by San Jose, 1-1 by Pittsburgh, and then San Jose won 3-1, and most recently Pittsburgh won 5-1. Right. So, but when I say most recently, you know, you would think, okay, that should show something. You know, Pittsburgh won 5-1. That game was December 1st. So these teams played at the beginning of the year, and both of these teams really weren't playing well at all until after that point. So it's hard to really say, like, that was, December 1st, neither the Sharks nor the Penguins were monstrous teams. So, you know, as you look at it, neither of these teams has played each other in the period of time with the kind of team we're looking at right now. So there really is no sense of the matchups for that at all. However, you know, in case we get cut off, I do want to mention that a Penguin versus a Shark is an interesting battle, and I think that. Yep. I think that no. Now, obviously, the first thing you would think of is a shark is a predator and a penguin is prey, of course. So that's a bad thing for the penguins. But here's the thing about that. This really depends on where you're playing. I think home ice advantage matters a lot. Home ocean advantage matters a lot with a penguin and a shark. Sharks are very listless in cold water, and sharks only survive in warm water, where penguins never swim in warm water at all.
Yeah, and sharks can't break through the ice.
Right. So yes, exactly. So let's call this a home ice advantage series. This is a home ice advantage series for sure. So anyway, I'm just throwing that out there.
But go ahead, Russ.
Chicken nugget. Even if the shark can't move that well, I'm taking the shark every time in this battle. Sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah, shark over a penguin. Yeah, it's hard to say.
It's not hard.
Penguins could be
It's not even
penguins could be crafty. Penguins are very smart. They work together as teams. Sharks are just bloodless killing machines. So I don't know. It's
Shark, an army of penguins. Take them out.
Yeah. All right. I guess the Sharks win the battle on that one.
I guess. I mean,
I'll give you that one.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that admission. That's great.
Yeah. So prediction-wise, let's get to that real quick in case we do get cut off, and then we can because I could see me losing this pretty soon because we're entering into a little more of a rural area again. My pick, as I put on the website, and I could see this series going quickly. Actually, I do think the Sharks are going to win this series in 6, but I could see the Sharks winning this in 5 as well. Not to say anything against the Penguins, I just have a feeling on that these are two really good teams. I could be completely wrong. We have no idea. I mean, the Penguins could come out and romp tonight, which I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but because the Sharks have tended in every series, when you look at it, they've tended to get better as the series have gone along. So, but I think at the end of the day, I like the Sharks in this one. I do.
Russ?
Your thoughts?
I still like the Penguins. I'm not buying all the injury talk. I'm not buying. There's a lot of deception that goes on in press conferences and everything else. I've been covering the Stanley Cup since 2003. I've seen it all. I've seen, all of a sudden you see guys on the ice and they're playing well and they shouldn't be playing at all, right? So I'm not going with any of that. I'm ignoring all of that. And what I'm going with is this is a different Pittsburgh Penguins team than the last couple of years. And Evgeny Malkin sort of proved that to me that when the new coach came in and he basically let his guys do what they wanted to do but gave them the right instruction and the right game plan, they've run with it. And at the end of the day, they have home ice for a reason, and I think home ice is going to be a factor here, and I think it's going to be a factor in Game 7, and I think they're going to win in 7. I just think teams are evenly matched. I like both coaches. You could argue both ways. Both GMs have done a terrific job, although I told the world that Wilson would be keeping his job, and Eck thought he'd get fired, but that's okay. All that said, though, I really do like the matchup, and I think this is going to be a good television match, too. I think I know they're wondering because, Golden State Warriors won and they're in the Game 7, and so maybe that cuts it out for one game what the total audience that they could get. But there's a lot of people that are enthralled about the Sharks now because it's their first time. And Wilson and Sullivan were teammates, and they're really good friends. And they were on the early Sharks team, and so there's that dynamic there that I'll be following throughout the tournament.
No, I'd like that too. And honestly, when I have a lot of friends out in San Jose who are calling me up saying, "Oh, can you get us tickets somehow?" The tickets are ridiculously expensive in San Jose for this. Like the cheapest ticket I was seeing on StubHub was like $900 per seat. So this is up there. I mean, and in Stanley Cup Finals in general, like I remember Detroit, you could get it for $300, $400 a seat. So this is a big deal. This is a big deal in San Jose. They really are.
Well, I mean, I sort of agree with Russ that if it goes to a Game 7, Pittsburgh's going to have the advantage. I think home ice is going to mean a lot. I think San Jose is going to win this series. They're going to have to win it in San Jose in 6 games. I think that the biggest factor here is how can San Jose neutralize the line that's killed every team that Pittsburgh's played against, or Pittsburgh, which is the Hagelin, Bonino, Kessel line. If Bonino is fine, that lineup is a matchup disaster. And the one thing that you said, Ak, is that San Jose is a 4-line team, so they're going to have to find the right one of those four lines to match up against Hagelin, Bonino, and Kessel and not expose themselves against the Crosby line or the Malkin line. If they can do that, then I think San Jose can win the series. But I'm leaning toward Pittsburgh in 7.
Can I say something, too, that we haven't talked about because we didn't get a chance to talk about it, I don't think? What the hell is Team USA doing leaving Phil Kessel off this team?
I was going to bring that up because, I mean, okay, the some of the selections were bizarre for Team USA. Yeah. And I can only attest that to the fact that John Tortorella is the head coach, Dean Lombardi is the GM, and he wanted to provide the Tortorella a team more Tortorella-like, which means no Phil Kessel, which means no Kevin Shattenkirk, which means no Justin Falk, which to me is a bigger shock than Kessel.
That's equally as bad to me, but yeah.
You know, and I like Ryan Callahan. Ryan Callahan is a good player. He doesn't belong on this team if Phil Kessel is not on the team.
There's like 5 or 6 guys that Tortorella has coached either now or in the past on this team. Jack Johnson doesn't belong on the team. No offense to Jack Johnson, but he's so far removed from being on a team like that. It's crazy. But again, this is what happens when you have John Tortorella as a coach. They feel like Kessel's not a Torts player. You know, Dustin Falk's not a Torts player. And
that's insane. I mean, they got to score goals in this series. You know, like that team didn't score goals in Sochi, and Kessel was one of the only ones who did score goals in Sochi.
Wait, right. What is this? 2010? You took the Johnson brothers. I know they're not brothers. You took the Johnson brothers, and you don't pick up Shattenkirk and Falk. And you know, Brandon Dubinsky, fine. Yeah. David Backes, fine. But you don't. I mean, I'm not a particular fan of Phil Kessel, but I admit his talent is unbelievable, and he was the best player in Sochi by leaps and bounds. He was better and more effective than Patrick Kane.
It really is bizarre. I mean, I don't know if he did something to somebody to piss somebody off, but that's what it feels like. I'm going to try to get to the bottom of it more this weekend.
Well, I can only tell you, and I don't think that this is the case. I think it's more the fact that it's Tortorella, and they already had Kane, and they already had a couple other people that they think they can score, and they didn't want Kessel's, you know, peculiar attitude around the team.
It's not bad around the USA team.
I know that, but that's externally what's being talked about. But the other thing is, where is the tournament being played?
Right.
And would Kessel be a detriment in Toronto and the center of attention in Toronto? Even if he wins a Stanley Cup, it'll be more about Kessel than it will be about the team. So I don't know if that was a factor at all.
You can't do that. You can't base it on the media. I mean, for crying out loud, you know, you can't base that. If you're doing that, you're really overthinking it. That is really paralysis by analysis in my mind. That's just crazy.
But that wasn't.
Kessel can handle it.
But that wasn't exclusively. That wasn't the only surprise. I mean, Corey Perry not being selected for Team Canada was a bit surprising. PKC.
Yeah, I mean, I was okay with that because I really do believe that, you know, Claude Giroux deserves to be on that team, and I think that's what it came down to, right? So, I think Claude Giroux brings more to your team. I mean, he doesn't have the scoring, but you have enough scoring on the team. Claude Giroux can do more penalty killing. He can do other things that you need.
I'll give you a big one. I mean, the Czech Republic is a team, to me, that could always use more offense, and the fact that they don't have Pavel Zacha on that team is crazy because you could have put Pavel Zacha and Jake Voracek together and probably had something really special. I don't know how they leave him off. It just boggles the mind.
Well, I mean, Jaromir Jagr was not included on the roster, but then that's understandable based on, you know, I think he said that.
Well, he told him he wasn't going.
Right, exactly, and I don't know if they're going to put any kind of pressure on him later in the summer to, you know, if this is a final roster, if somebody gets hurt. But they put Milan Mihalik on the roster. Here, let me look at my watch. He's hurt. You know, it's like he always gets hurt. So.
Yeah, I know. I just thought the Kessel thing was mind-boggling, and I'm dying to find out what the reasoning is here, but behind this, because I don't get the guy's having a killer. He's always been good. He's a good playoff player. He was, like you say, he was their best player in Sochi. How do you keep him off this line? I mean, there's so many players. I mean, I'd much rather have him in there than Backes. I mean,
Well, the ironic thing here, Ak, is that Brian Burke is part of that management team for USA Hockey, and and he's the guy who traded for Kessel. He's always been a defender of Kessel.
Oh yeah, he always has been.
So
I mean,
to me,
actually, at the very beginning he wasn't, but
right,
once he traded for him, he was definitely a defender of Kessel.
But to me,
I mean, what you said, Mike. They want to field the team. They want to field for this coach, and so now Tortorella is either going to win this whole tournament, or this team's not going to look very good because they're going to be way different than every other team. That's the way I see it.
And Russ, what this is going back to a Vancouver 2010 mentality, which didn't work. I mean, okay, they got to the gold medal game and they lost, but it didn't work in the sense that they put together a team of, they put in Chris Drury. They had workers on the third and fourth line. Don't do that. Just get the best guys on the team and put them on the team.
Am I mistaken, or did Phil Kessel, wasn't he even in parts of some of the advertising for this thing? I thought I could have sworn I saw him in an ad thing somewhere for this tournament. I mean, it's as if he did something wrong. Like he did something like he's getting punished for something. That it's just there's nothing he's done has if anything he's more suited. He's earned his spot more than he did in Sochi. I don't get it.
I like Team better than Team USA.
You like which team better than Team USA?
I like better than Team USA.
Yeah, and that was an interesting thing. I mean, Austin Matthews got selected for Team North America, and I think it was pretty much a foregone conclusion after the way he played in the World Championships. And I was looking at it from a Toronto point of view because I think everybody knows Toronto is going to take Matthews with the first pick in the draft, and the fact that now he's not going to be at training camp, and he'll be at the Team North America training camp, and all these things. It's like he's going to basically step right in without working with his teammates. And I was told by somebody, I don't know if this is true or not because they haven't released the schedule yet, but there's some indications that the training camps for the NHL teams may get pushed back because of the World Cup, and that the training camps won't start until the 1st of October, and that the season won't start until maybe October 20th. So it wouldn't affect players not going.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that too. I think there will be lots. Yeah, I think there'll be lots of camps going on though, even though they might not start the actual official training camp, quote unquote, until the 1st of October. But there's going to be, everybody's going to be skating. There's going to be their own. They're going to have to hold their own camps.
Right.
Typically, what they do. I mean, there's guys that start skating in August, so.
Oh yeah, and for example, Toronto is having their rookie tournament in London, Ontario, in mid-September. But usually they go right from that 3 or 4 days later into the official training camp, and then they start playing preseason games. But the Leafs can't.
I thought the preseason schedule's already out, isn't it? The preseason schedule's out for next year.
I haven't heard. I haven't seen a thing yet.
Oh, it definitely is. We gotta check it out. I could show you things. That could tell us some things right there.
I'll check.
It is out.
Yeah, I remember we talked about it on the show. It's definitely out. So maybe that might be a false rumor. I mean, I think it might be that the guys who play at the World Cup of Hockey don't report to camp until October 1st. That could be the case too.
Well, yeah. I mean,
right.
They're going to be busy.
Right, and
and I'll tell you, Austin Matthews, I wouldn't worry about it that he's missing camp. Seriously, it's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a rookie camp. Yeah, he's really not going to have to be there at all. Yeah, so I know that exists. I think that's all the time we have. I'm really going to run out of space here soon. You guys can continue on. I've got to go, but if we could wrap it up. What do you guys want to do?
We'll just continue for a couple minutes and then we'll sign off.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks guys for doing it. I will talk to you guys later. Actually one of the things I'm working on right now, because officially now I can start talking about Stamkos. So I will. We have some. There's already some news out there, which I'm sure you guys will get into a little bit of what he said. But I think that, I wouldn't bind any of that yet. I don't think that right now he's gonna say what he says. Right now, for those who don't know, he said that they would be that he's leaning towards staying in Tampa. I think that's typically what's going on, because what's happening is they're negotiating right now, And so he's trying to. That's a good faith thing to say.
Yeah.
While they're negotiating, he's going to say that. He's not going to say I'm leaning towards not going to Tampa.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
He does not want to be hated by that fan base for leaving.
Right. And
if he's gonna leave, he's gonna make Steve Yzerman and Tampa Bay be the bad guy in the situation.
Right. Right. And I think I think that's a fair thing to say. I mean, I'm maybe not directly that way, but I think I know what you're saying, and I think that's true. And I think that we're not going to see anything. We're not going to know anything from Stamkos for a while. Still, that we're still have a ways to go on that. But guys, thanks very much. I'll see you in a little while, Russ. When we get there, and talk to you tonight.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Russ, we'll just talk a little bit about that, and then the thing that you posted on Sportsology, because I honestly don't put any stock in anything that is said to the media from Steven Stamkos. I mean, he's in an awkward position in Tampa right now because I don't think he wants to go out and say, oh well, I'm demanding this or whatever. His comments in the exit interview in Tampa were basically, I love the city, I love this team. Like he was talking in sort of the, like we as a collective. He's gonna do that until July the 1st because that's the type of guy he is. But behind the scenes, if Tampa Bay is not going to step up from $8.5 million for 8 years, he's gone. He's gone quicker than July 1st. It's going to take like 5 minutes for him to be gone.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to up the contract, but I do think he's a little bit troubled because he really does like it there. It's his first team. Guys do have legit trouble leaving their first team when they're that big a part of it. But at the end of the day, the consensus here is I've spoken to a lot of people, and nobody thinks he's staying. Like, nobody.
Right.
That's the general cynicism of the media. I'm not sure. But it's hard when you're getting nobody saying or giving you a reason to think that he's staying. So it could be PR right now, and I don't want to be that way and tell Tampa fans to totally give up hope because I don't think that's the case. But I think Tampa does have to ante up, and if they don't, he's going to be gone.
Right, and obviously me being a lifelong follower of the Maple Leafs and covering them, that's my focus. But I've always said that I think it's either going to be Toronto or back to Tampa because I know a number of reporters who have more connections than I will ever have said Detroit is a possibility and Buffalo is a possibility and the Rangers and the Islanders and this and that. It's like, okay, fine. I think in the end, if it's not Toronto and the big bucks and going back home, then I think it's going to be going to what his second home has become, which is the team that drafted him, 9 years ago. So I think it comes down to that. If Tampa and I understand the point of view of Steve Yzerman here. You have to look at the broader picture than just Steven Stamkos. Does that organization want to keep Steven Stamkos? I'm sure they do. But and I've been banging away at this point for weeks. When you've got Killorn, Nemestikov, Kucherov coming up for RFA, and there are more players too, but those aren't the bigger concerns this summer. And then you have Palat and Johnson and Hedman as a UFA and Bishop as a UFA next year. If you spend $10 million on Steven Stamkos, you're talking about losing 3 or 4 of those guys. So it's
I would rank them where it's Tampa, Toronto, Detroit, and they're definitely going to hear about a big offer from Buffalo. I can guarantee it, but I don't think he's going to go to Buffalo. I just think there's enough things in place now and in the future where you can make the argument that if he goes to Toronto, hey, Matthews is there. He probably lures VC. They probably lure a goaltender and maybe even a defenseman, and off they go. And then if he goes to Detroit, they could definitely lure a defenseman to Detroit if he's going to be there. He could just make a few calls and help out with that. So I think those are his best options because they have Mrazek. Mrazek's a terrific goalie.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the way I see the field. The fact that he did say something positive about Tampa does at least lend a chance of him staying there. That's all. There's a percentage chance. That's it.
And the stuff with Buffalo, I mean, I think it's just basically Tim Murray and Terry Pagula making it miserable for somebody in their own division. Even if it's staying in Tampa, or if he goes to Toronto or Detroit, they're upping the ante so they have less money down the road to spend. And that's what a billionaire can do. You can throw money around, even though probably Stamkos doesn't want to go to Buffalo. I mean, Newport Sports is going to say, sure, if you want to bid on him, fine. All that does is raise the price on him. What are they going to say? No, we don't want your money? Of course they want their money. But again, I think with when it comes to Stamkos, it's either going to be the draw of staying with the franchise that he's been with since he was 18 years old, or the draw of going home with. And I heard a really good hockey reporter on Buffalo radio on Friday, and basically say, well, why would Steven Stamkos want to go to Toronto? It's a rebuilding situation. Put that thought out of your mind, completely. I know this team was in last place. I know that they've been talking about the 5-year rebuild and all this stuff. Things with Matthews, and if they get Stamkos, will turn around very quickly. They, like you said, Russ, they may go out and get a goaltender. The market is set up for them to get a good goalie. If a team wants to shed a number one with who's making a decent salary, like a Fleury or a Bishop, if they want to go that direction, they can. This is not the league where it takes you 6 or 7 years from last place to build up to be a playoff team. It can happen pretty quickly, and there's the money and the will in Toronto to do that. So this notion that this is a rebuilding team and he's going to waste 3 or 4 years of his career, that's bunk. It's a load of crap.
It is.
So, all right. Well, let's end the. One more thing. The playoff beard. Not debate, but the playoff beard observation that you made yesterday. You wrote on Sportsology and put a photo of some players on Instagram. I mean, Joe Thornton's one is sort of central. He looks like a Civil War general.
He looks like the guy like on the Smith Brothers cough drops, right? I mean, that's what he looks like. You're right. It's a magnificent beard, and if I heard him correctly as I was walking away, his daughter loves it and his wife hates it.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. So basically, like the day, I wouldn't be surprised that in the locker room, if they win and he's drinking champagne, with one hand he's drinking champagne, with the other one he's got a razor taking it off. But what were some of the other ones that were? I mentioned to you before the show is like there isn't anybody who's like an 18-year-old. Like if Daniel Sprong was in this in the locker room in Pittsburgh and had a chance to play, it would be interesting to see like some 18-year-old who barely can put hair on his face, how he would be, because everybody's doing it. How it would be like patchwork. I mean.
Right. Actually, surprisingly, Patrick Marleau's is like patchwork, and considering he's an older guy and it's black, I would have thought it would be better. But I just don't think Marleau put in the time on it. Same with Martin Jones. Like Martin Jones is paying way too much time playing goalie and worrying about goalie stuff, and he's not paying attention to his beard. He's just not. And so Martin Jones's beard could be better. Brett Burns is number 2, and he's got the man bun now, so he's got 2 big things going for him. That's a tough choice.
I'm sorry. It's like me and Jillian are having this. It's like a show from the E! Channel, the Fashion Network. Like the update on Brent Burns every time he comes into the arena with another hideous suit, and like the one that he had for oh God, what was it? That was the last game against St. Louis for Game 7. It looked like a crossword puzzle. It was like a gray suit with a crossed pinstripes. It was hideous. But yeah, it's colorful. But the funny thing is like it's almost got to the point where it's now sort of passé, the playoff beard. It's gotten.
Players like doing it. They like talking about it. I think the funniest quote came from Logan Couture, who basically said when he was in St. Louis, he got heckled by a mom who said that her 16-year-old son had a better-looking beard, and he laughed. He just laughed at her and agreed with her. And so, I think there's just that fun factor, but it does there is a bonding point to that.
Yes.
And if everybody does it, then they do bond. And so, like, yeah, I wrote about it. There's some funny quotes. And if not, just go to my Sportsology Instagram, or I just tweeted out the picture, and you can see the gallery. It's not everybody. I couldn't fit in everybody, but I put some of the highlights.
Yeah. All right. Good show. We'll be back tomorrow. It definitely will be the three of us, and we may have some other members of the panel joining us. We're not sure, but we'll be here to analyze Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight in Pittsburgh, and of course maybe we'll throw in some Golden State, Oklahoma City references. Not really. For Eklund, for Russ Cohen, I'm Michael Agello, and remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey.